drinking OJ tonight. OJ, that good old juice. Look, we're taking it back to the good old days, you know. I'm just saying, bro. I think today we're real nostalgic. We're real philosophical. Cause look, bro, sometimes you gotta look back on the good old days and just vibe out and just let those good vibes settle in and really get your mood going. Sometimes a blast from the past, a homie, you know, pull up like that you haven't talked to in a while. Go to a party that, you know, you haven't gone to in a while, you know. I don't know. I feel like I'm feeling nostalgic tonight. Are y'all ready to groove and move? If you are, hit the fucking like button, hit the fucking notifications, because you know the boys here. I hope you're having a good day and an even better day now that your boy's here. Because look, you know, I just wanted to kick it off a little late tonight. You know, typically I try to get on stream at least like couple hours prior. But tonight, bro, I was, you know, gardening earlier, and I was really in the midst of pondering, you know. I was in the middle of, you know, thinking of philosophical situations and setting the, you know, higher upper echelon of quantum thinking. So I was a quantum goon earlier. You know, I'm just saying. Chad, I was just having a good time. I was gardening, because once in a while, bro, you gotta get back to the roots. Like, literally the roots. Get to the garden, start fucking, you know, really shoveling some dirt around, and really get to digging a hole, literally. And sometimes it makes you think, bro, that peace of mind when you're sitting there, you know, it gives you time to think, and it gives you time to, you know, really reflect on a lot of things in the past couple of days that have upset you or whatever, you know? So I had that moment while I was gardening, and sometimes I forget how good it is to touch the roots. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty. Sometimes you got to let the soil in your body, you know? Pause. I have not taken a shower because I'm marinating right now. I'm marinating in dirt. You know, by tomorrow, I'm going to change, you know, into a new cocoon, you know. I'm going to become a bigger, better man tomorrow, you know, because I have that dirt particles seeping into my skin. I'm going to go take a good old, you know, bath tomorrow. So I, you know, let it all sink into my soul, you know. Really, the hard work pays off, you know. But I don't know. I'm just yapping tonight, bro. I'm just kind of vibing out, just seeing how things go. Last night I kind of ended up going out to a jazz club. I was not really planning on going out, bro. I was like, I'm just gonna stay home, be a lame on a Saturday night. I wanted to just chill inside. Like, I know it's not lame to stay inside. I know. But chat, looks, once in a while, I gotta just sometimes just say that I'm gonna stay inside, but don't actually stay inside. Cause bro, I feel like going out on a Saturday is like, you know, the best time to go out. Cause like you meet people, and it kind of builds a fond memory. So yesterday I ended up, you know, going out to a jazz club, and I'm not gonna lie, it might be a new vibe, bro. I'm really trying to get into the classier things, bro. How music used to be back in the 1980s, 85. You know, I don't really know that era, but I feel like they had good old Booze Clues. You know, they had good old fucking vibes back in the day, and that's the vibe I'm trying to be on. Low key, I'm trying to get to that vibe of you know, the jazz level, bro. That's like super sexual, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, jazz musicians, I'm sure they're like fucking like horned up, bro. That's very, you know, sexual vibe, bro. Playing jazz music, you better be making love, bro. But I'm not gonna lie. I like the jazz vibe. I like the club. I like that better than going up and like. That's cool, but like, I'm more of like a jazz kind of guy. I'm like, that sounds like Pink Panther, but that vibe of just chilling and talking and getting to know somebody. Cause like, I feel like when you're at an actual club, like a legit like turnt club, like, you're not gonna talk to nobody. You just catching ass, and like, you know, if you the other party, you throwing ass, you know, you doing all the craziness. And it's dark. That's what some people prefer. Some people prefer to just absolutely, you know, not be able to see the person they're throwing ass at, just so they're not fucking embarrassed when they get back. Because, bro, some of these hoes in these streets, you know, are very well-mannered, you know, hoes outside of these streets, you know. They're distinguished women, you know, outside of, you know, the streets. But when they get out on the dance floor, they just got to hoe it out. They got to let that hoe adrenaline out, bro. So, you know, you just gotta shake some ass, go home. You know, it just, hey, I don't fault them for it. You know, I get it. It be like that sometimes. Sometimes you gotta go sling some dick around once in a while to, you know, just be like, I love my home life. I don't want to cheat on my girl every weekend. Only once a month, you know? But, you know, I'm just having fun, chat. Look, we're fucking around. We're having a good time. Don't get upset. You know, we got a lot of misogynists in this chat, you know. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Who am I kidding? Well, let's see what the move is tonight, bro. I'm kind of trying to see the reactions today, because for some reason, some of the videos I've been reacting to, for some reason, are copywriting my shit. Because I'm like, dude, why are you being a dickhead right now? Like, I'm just trying to give you the views, the 5 extra views that you don't need. I'm trying to give them to you. I don't know. There is some sort of AI that's probably catching on some of these videos if you're too quiet or something. That's why you gotta always constantly make, you know, sounds and you know, some kind of noise. But look, chat, look, there is a comedy thing going on that I've been seeing around about every comedian like talking about it is the comedy festival in the Saudi Arabias. The Arabs want to apparently have comedy. I don't know how real this is, but look, the problem with Saudi Arabia, new comedy festival. Let's find out about it. Mac McCusker, Shane Gillis. Oh my God.
What? What? Where? Why?
Saudi Arabia and UAE or Dubai.
Dubai?
I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah. For the troops? Is it for the troops?
Not for the troops. For the Saudis.
For the Saudi princes?
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, you should do it. Everyone's doing it. It's like, for Saudis?
Yeah.
Weren't those the 9/11 guys?
So I thought.
Aren't they exactly the 9/11 guys?
All right, so if you heard the news, Saudi Arabia is currently hosting a pretty controversial comedy festival in their capital city of Riyadh, with some of the world's most famous comedians headlining the event.
I mean, they're getting a bag though, bro. I'm pretty sure they're getting a bag though, bro. They're getting like $250,000 to like $1 million per show they're doing. Depending on how big they are, but they're getting a bag, bro. And the thing is, bro, especially as a comic, I mean, some of them have already made the money, so I don't know. I mean, they may be going for like even more recognition. Imagine like, you know, they're fitting in like, cause bro, Kevin Hart is on Qatar Airways instructions. So he's like, you know, getting that Saudi money, and he knows how real that Saudi money is.
Huge names like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, and even Bill Burr are being paid millions of dollars to perform there in the next few weeks. And as you might have already guessed, their fans and their fellow comedians are really hating on them for it. Since Saudi Arabia has a long record of some serious human rights violations and state-sponsored atrocities that these comedians are just gonna ignore while they perform there, I guess.
Yeah, they're just trying to get the bag.
And their own lives. Like it's actually...
I mean, chat, what y'all think, bro? Just get the bag, bro. At that point, I mean, yeah, obviously you can say whatever, but like realistically, bro, like why are they supposed to be morally righteous? You know, they're getting the bag.
Legal to say some things over there, and the crime is punishable by death. Just look at Jamal Khashoggi. So it's just an overall disappointing time to be a fan of comedy right now, and other comedians realize this too. I mean, just the other day, the guy who played Gabe Lewis from The Office, Zach Woods, hilariously summed up the whole thing in a TikTok post, where he put everyone there on blast, as they're essentially selling their integrity in exchange for enormous quantities of blood-soaked cash.
Guys, it's that special time of year. It's the Riyadh Comedy Festival. And all of your favorite comedians are performing at the pleasure of Turki Al-Sheikh. And he is the head of the entertainment authority over there. And he has so many people thrown in prison because they tweeted stuff he didn't like about the soccer team or whatever, that there's a wing of a prison nicknamed after him where they hang people by their heels from the ceiling. Now, there's a lot of drips, killjoys, and rebazoids who are saying, oh, they shouldn't do comedy over there because it's whitewashing a regime that just in June killed a journalist and killed Jamal Khashoggi and played a big role in 9/11. Shut up. Name one comedian who hasn't whored himself out to a dictator. Sinbad, in the 80s, would go perform for dying Nazis hidden out in Argentina. Mr. Bean would do private shows for Idi Amin. Me and Bibi Netanyahu have collaborated. I pitched him a prank show called The West Bank. Let's not get our, moral panties yanked up, wedged high in our rumps. Human Rights Watch has been begging the comedians not to participate in the whitewashing of the horrors that are ongoing in Saudi Arabia. Ugh, what a cockblock.
And don't think for a single second that these so-called free speech warriors...
I mean, you're getting the biggest bag, bro. This is a bag unfathomable to some people, bro. I get it. I don't know. Like, I feel like if you're a struggling comedian, they offered it to you, you might end up going, bro. I mean, like, morals aside, on
stage and suddenly turn into rebels, bravely using their sets as some kind of noble protest against the Saudi regime. Their silence has been bought, packaged, and paid for in full. They're going to keep their mouths shut, tell some pretty safe jokes, collect the check, and then fly on home. Like, there is...
But that's the thing, bro. Like, that's how most businesses operate, bro. You just gotta shut up and collect the check, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like weirdly enough, I understand it. You know, you can't really roast them about it, you know?
No room to deviate from that script. They're not even allowed to make hints at the ugly reality of what the government has done there. Just take a look at what happened to Tim Dillon. He got banned from the festival for something as small as mentioning Saudi slave labor on his podcast. A podcast that he records in America, mind you.
I was fired from the Riyadh Comedy Festival.
And the craziest part about that was that he wasn't even condemning the slavery. He was, in a weird Tim Dillon-y kind of way, spinning it into some dark humor that actually casts it in a positive light. But the mere fact that he let the word slavery pass through his lips was enough to get him axed without warning.
I wonder what they would do to people that are over there making jokes like that. Would they actually like be like, let's go ahead and get him murked. Let's get him killed. You know, you think people end up getting like packed up and packed off? I mean, the fucking comedians are too large. I don't think they would allow that, but they already killed Khashoggi just for the fuck of it, you know?
Slaves, then they kill Hey. Get over it. Get over it. So what? So what they have slaves? So what? My friend, not a friend.
I mean, technically, all of our iPhones are made by something similar. So let's just, you know.
I don't even know. I bumped into them in Tribeca. And he goes, I would never do that because I don't want to interact with slaves. I'm like, well, why not? They'd be deferential, right? I mean, I imagine the slaves in those countries are good at what they do.
That's how extreme the censorship truly is. It doesn't matter if you say it sarcastically, ironically, or even supportively.
Sarcasm is hard to understand for a lot of people. That's the thing. A lot of people just do not understand sarcasm. Weirdly enough, it is for the intellectuals.
The regime doesn't want the word itself uttered because the word reminds people of reality, and reality is the last thing they want leaking into their carefully manufactured spectacle. So here's Tim's reaction after he got fired.
My agent called me and told me they heard what you said about them having slaves. And I said, I was being positive about it. I was defending them. He goes, well, I know that. I know you were defending them. I said, I was defending them for having slaves. I literally said, slaves are probably hard workers and, for the most part, agreeable.
They won't be
But
disagreeable,
they didn't like that.
you know?
I was saying that slaves were proud of some of the buildings they built. Now, I am very clear about the way I will do a gig. If I accept a gig, I am not going to break the rules of the gig. So I certainly wasn't going to show up in your country and insult the people that are paying me the money. One, it's illegal. So I wasn't really planning to go to
You're going to
Saudi
get your
jail.
head chopped off.
But on my own show, in my own country, where I have the freedom to speak and say the things I want, I'm going to be funny and I'm going to be who I am. And if you're not buying that, I addressed it in a funny way and they fired me.
It's just so funny how he's acting shocked that they do something like this. Like, he can't believe that the Saudi Arabian government would do something so unbelievable and uncalled for. I mean, I know that comedians aren't the smartest people in the world, but to think that the Saudis won't micromanage every little thing you say leading up to the event is an extremely boneheaded thought. Again, they're paying them to be puppets. Like, they're not allowed to do the comedy that they've been doing for decades whatsoever. The things that Tim Dillon said that got him fired were, in fact,
I mean, bro,
nothing
people like want comedians to be, I feel like, these high level things, but if you think about it, bro, comedians are just like court gestures. If you really think about it, you know, we're low key just the court gesture. We just make people laugh. Ta-da! You know,
as one would
we
say.
gotta do
But to a
goofy
government
shit.
that throws women in prison for simply taking off their abaya in public, even the tiniest joke is treated like a national security threat.
My Islamophobia and my love of bacon are completely separate things.
Not only that, you can
Yeah.
go to Muslim countries
Right.
and yell, I love bacon. There's no laws against it.
I will be doing it at the Riyadh Comedy Festival very soon. Get your tickets! Get your tickets!
Are you really gonna go there?
Of course I am.
Wow.
Why would I not? Would they kill gay people and women? By the way,
Yeah.
we said that about, we say this about every Muslim country is throwing gay people off the roof all the time, by the way, okay?
I'm pretty sure he still gets paid like if they cancel him off the show, he still gets paid for some of it. I would accept it for that reason too. I'm gonna keep doing what I do on the way to the show. If they decide to kick me off, they're still paying me, you know?
I obviously don't agree with Saudi Arabian policies on women, things like that.
Yeah.
Is it my business to tell Saudi Arabia how to live? Truly.
How big was the check?
$375,000 for one show?
Nice.
That's
Oh!
not bad.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
I'll take.
375.
I'll watch a behanding for that.
Behanding?
Yeah, it's called a behanding. What happens is they cut the hand off the thief.
And I know some of you might be thinking that for the amount of money that Saudi Arabia is paying, anybody would be an idiot not to go. Which is only fair if they were being paid Cristiano Ronaldo money, okay? They're not though. And in my opinion, they're not even being paid anywhere close to an amount that justifies going. Like on the same podcast that got Tim fired from the festival.
375 can last me at least 5 to 10 years. Off this fucking money I make off work now, I can live off of 375 for the next 5 years at least.
He actually mentions how much everyone was getting paid to perform there, listing figures as high as 1.6 million and as low as 150K.
You're coming out and saying you're doing the Saudi thing for money. They're paying you a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you how much they're paying me. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much they're paying me. $375,000 for one show. Now a lot of other people are getting 1.6 million. That's not me. I'm not in that bracket.
Damn it.
But they're giving me 375. Others are getting 150. Why are they doing it? Here's the point.
If this is true, and 1.6 million
150 is still a good amount, you know?
Than I'd ever thought.
150 is still a good amount, bro.
Is a lot of money, but for the impact that this is going to have on their reputations, it's really not enough, especially for someone like Kevin Hart, whose net worth is something close to $500 million. And don't even get me started on the people who accepted the 150K. That's possibly the funniest thing to come out about this festival. Like, sure, 150K is a lot to most people on Earth, but these comedians easily clear that on tour, where, might I just add, they're allowed to say pretty much whatever they want. A guy like Theodore von Kernatowski III literally makes 150K in one night. Just take a look at one of his pay stubs that someone leaked online not too long ago. So this is just some absolute scumbaggery coming from a lot of these court jesters. It's what I'd expect from people like Andrew Schultz and Whitney Cummings, but Bill Burr honestly caught me off guard. I love the guy and was hoping he'd try and make a stand for what he believes in when he performs there, but being that Tim Dillon was fired for even mentioning slavery in his own country, I'm pretty sure Bill Burr's just gonna play it safe, which makes him no better than anyone else on the list. And him performing there just hollows out everything he preaches about on his podcast. I mean, he's even recorded himself talking smack about people who accept money from the Saudi government way back in 2011, which now that he went and performed there, just sounds like jack shit when you go back and listen to it again.
Because no one ever raises money for terrorists, right? I guess, unless you do a comedy show in, like, Saudi Arabia. Isn't that what they do? You know, that's how they raise money, with their filthy fucking oil money.
But hey, as one legend of the channel sadly fades into the background, another rises up to fill the void, as Mark Maron has been one of the comedians calling out the Riyadh disaster.
He was hating on Joe Rogan too, bro.
Like, don't get me started about the Riyadh Comedy Festival.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah, that looks
you
like...
think you saw it? How is it?
Oh,
not,
no, I did see that. Yeah,
it's like under the radar.
Yeah.
That all these huge acts, I can name names, but you can just go look it up. We're offered complete ridiculous amounts of the bloodiest money on the planet.
Yeah,
you know. But it's like, does it just come to that? And look, I can maintain.
He didn't get offered it. I feel like if he got offered it, he might have taken that hoe. Let's be honest. 1.5 million. That's like some people's like 5-year shows, you know?
In this position. One, I wasn't asked.
Yeah, of course. That's always with me.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Ain't that about a bitch, huh? Huh?
And I don't think I'd go. I know I wouldn't. But it's like, does history not matter at all? I mean, literally, it's like the Riyadh Comedy Festival from the guys who brought you 9/11. Do you know what I mean? It's like, is that just nostalgia?
Well, there's a Riyadh Comedy Festival. I don't know if you heard about that. This is true. There's a Riyadh, Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival. I mean, how do you even promote that? I mean, the same guy that's going to pay them is the same guy that paid that guy to bonesaw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in a fucking suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. Full disclosure, I was not asked to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, so it's kind of easy for me to take the high road on this one. Easy to maintain your integrity when no one's offering to buy it out, you know?
I honestly don't think that these comedians or their managers realized just how much people were going to trash them for doing this.
Imagine, like, the bag that you would take, though. Like, what's the bag that you would take to be able to do this show? If they offered you a $5 million bag, would you do it? If they're like, well, one show, I'll give you $5 million. Like, there's no way Dave Chappelle, like, got like 1.5. He got definitely more than 1.5. Kevin Hart, same thing, bro. There's no way they're giving those like just a small little bag. I mean, that's a lot, but like small bag compared to what they're probably making.
Because Bill Burr performing in Saudi Arabia is not really the same as Ronaldo playing soccer there for $700 million. Ronaldo's job requires him to kick around an inflated ball for 90 minutes straight. Bill Burr's job requires the freedom of expression, and Saudi Arabia is one of the last places on earth where that's found. I mean, the only place that I could think of that would be worse would be if somebody performed for Israel or for the US government. And yes, I'm aware that some of you may be thinking that simply performing in the States is worse than performing in Riyadh, since the government here is in fact funding a genocide. But comedians don't perform for the US government when they do comedy here. They're performing for separately owned venues. And whenever comedians do decide to perform for the US government, everyone rightfully shits on them for it. Like when Theo Von went to perform stand-up comedy for Donald Trump in Qatar. That was a really shitty thing to do. I hope I made that very clear. But anyways, at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. Taking Saudi money means selling out your voice, and no punchline in the world is worth that.
They have Shane Gillis with an American flag in that W video, bro. W video. American redact. Okay, that sound okay. Hopefully we understood that correctly. Redact, you know? Look, chat. Look, I'm gonna look for a few more good ones. How good was Michael Jackson actually? I low-key want to know myself. I feel like I've seen this. I'm a big Michael Jackson head, bro. I love Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson performed, the world stopped. Stadiums overflowed. Fans fainted at the sound of his voice. Thriller alone outsold everybody. And his influence, you can hear it on every pop star who's ever touched the stage since. But Michael wasn't perfect. He's been criticized for his live singing, his bad acting, and even though it's not his fault, he's been accused of having fake songs on his posthumous albums.
August 2022. Do you think that those were actually Michael's vocals or not?
If I tell you today,
Right now.
I can tell you right now that no.
Michael obviously became the king of pop, but the journey that made him one was far darker and much more complicated than most people realize. He's had to face rejection, doubt, and fight to prove himself again and again. So how good was Michael Jackson actually? In 1968, a little kid from Gary, Indiana walked into Motown Records. He outsang grown men who'd been doing this for decades. That kid was Michael Jackson. You see, the Jackson 5 weren't just another kid group. They were something else entirely. Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, he said he'd never seen anything like it.
What was it, the first time you saw the Jackson family, when Michael Jackson came in, what were your first impressions when you saw them perform in front of you?
Well, I was floored. When I saw them perform, I was really floored.
Diana Ross introduced him to America on the Hollywood Palace in 1969. And Michael, the tiny kid with an afro bigger than his whole body, he grabbed the mic like he'd been performing for 50 years. But the part people don't always think about is, while other kids were learning multiplication tables, Michael was learning choreography. While they were playing tag at recess, he was in the studio until 3 a.m.
Actually becoming like a stage addict. I really am. Like when there are off days and there is no show, I'm up at night dancing just to sing. It's really strange. I guess I'm an addict. Can't help it.
Joe Jackson didn't believe in childhood. He believed in perfection. He got it. Do this thing right here, or if you're black, you're probably familiar with The Switch. Michael would later say he was so terrified.
Yo, you getting whipped by branches is crazy work, bro. Y'all got trauma over there, bro. Oh, wow.
Of his father that he'd vomit when he saw him coming. Now think about that. A kid so scared of his dad that he'd get physically sick. But that same kid would walk on stage and command an audience of thousands of people. By 1970, the Jackson 5 had 4 consecutive #1 hits. I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, I'll Be There. No group had ever done that before. Michael was 11 years old singing about love and heartbreak in a way that would make grown women cry. But the thing is, it gets complicated because that success came with a price. Every interview, every photo shoot, Berry Gordy's team would remind him, you're not children, you're professionals. Michael couldn't make friends his own age. He couldn't go to school dances. He couldn't even hardly go outside without causing a riot. He later talked about staring out hotel windows, watching kids play in the park, just watching. Michael just wanted to be normal. The thing is, he wasn't normal. You see, he was talented, but not just talented, he was absolutely obsessed with music.
Who did you start listening to get your kind of singing style?
James Brown. I said James Brown and Sammy Davis Jr. Because I like
that. Must be sad though, bro, having no like friends. No.
What did you borrow from them?
Well, I do most of his dancing on stage. And I just like the way Sammy sings.
The music was incredible, but behind every perfect performance, there was a child who had been hit for missing a step. Behind every smile, it was a kid who didn't know what it was to just be a kid. By 1979, Michael was 21 and desperate to prove something. The Jackson 5 had left Motown and became the Jacksons. But Michael, he wanted more. He needed more.
My name is James Phillips. I'd like to know, first of all, how do you feel being up there alone, and are you gonna make appearances by yourself?
No, I'm just doing this because these are solo songs for my album, and they put them on the Jackson 5 album.
Now enter Quincy Jones, the man who worked with everyone from Frank Sinatra to Count Basie. When Quincy agreed to produce Michael's solo album, people thought it was weird. A jazz legend working with a former child star to make pop and disco music. But it was a match made in heaven. Quincy and Mike, they also worked together on the movie The Wiz, and a year later, they dropped Off the Wall. It was Michael announcing to the world, I'm not that little kid anymore. Don't stop till you get enough. It still gets played in movies and social events. The album went platinum 4 times over. But the part that nobody really talks about, despite selling millions and 4 top 10 singles, the album just got 2 Grammy nods and only 1 win. Michael sat in that audience watching other artists win awards he knew he deserved, and then something in him just snapped. He told his lawyer that night, my next album is gonna be the biggest album of all time. And most people would have called him crazy. A 21-year-old kid talking about he's gonna make the biggest album ever. Yeah, he was Michael Jackson, but he wasn't the king yet. Now, Michael had been competing with adults since he was 5. He knew he was talented, but he learned that talent wasn't enough. You needed to be undeniable. Now, the thing is, Off the Wall should have been enough. It revolutionized pop music, it made disco sound sophisticated, but the industry still saw him as Little Michael, still as Diana Ross's protege, just one of the Jacksons. November 29th, 1982, the day the music industry changed forever. Thriller wasn't supposed to happen the way that it did. CBS executives wanted another Off the Wall, a safe, successful, profitable album. But Michael and Quincy had other plans. They wanted to create an album where every song
This
could be a
thing is
single,
still like the classic of classics to this day, bro. I don't even know, bro. How does one simply have another Michael Jackson? You can't, bro. He's a one in a generational.
Had to be perfect. But let me tell you about MTV first, because you can't understand the impact Thriller had without understanding this. See, MTV launched in 1981 as music television. They had a very specific format, mostly rock music. They said Michael didn't fit their demographic. When Billie Jean dropped, everybody knew it was a hit, but MTV still wasn't convinced. It wasn't until the president of CBS Records, Walter Yetnikoff, he threatened to pull all of CBS's artists from their rotation until they played Michael Jackson. And once they did, Billie Jean became one of their most requested videos. It opened doors for not just Michael, but for countless artists who came after. But see, Michael wasn't done. It was Motown's 25th anniversary, and Michael was supposed to perform with his brothers. He did, but then he asked for a solo spot. He came out with his fedora, kind of like this one, black jacket, silver glove, the Billie Jean bass line started to play, and then you know what happened. But Michael still wasn't done changing history. For the Thriller video, he made it into a 14-minute short film. Cost $500,000. Before Thriller, music videos were basically film performances. They might have had some simple effects, but after Thriller, videos basically became mini movies. Artists started hiring film directors, budgets exploded, storylines. We see it today still. It all became standard because of Michael. He basically changed what it means to make a music video. Now, Thriller the album, I mean, it damn near destroyed every record that ever existed. Best-selling album of 1983, of 1984, of all time. We're talking 70 million copies, 7 singles in the top 10, 8 Grammys.
70 millies?
He's in one night, but success is complicated because now everybody wanted a piece of Michael Jackson. The Pepsi commercial that went wrong, his hair caught on fire during a pyrotechnic malfunction, that's when the painkillers started. Then he got backlash for his pop success. Black radio stations started saying he abandoned his community, and rock critics says he was too commercial. People who ignored him during Off the Wall now saying he's overexposed. And all of this was just the start of what would eventually become his Achilles heel, the media. Now, fast forward, Michael has spent 3 years preparing for a follow-up album. I mean, the pressure of following Thriller must have been crazy. I mean, imagine trying to follow up the Bible. What do you write next? Bad was the answer. 5 #1 singles from one album. The Bad Tour became the highest grossing tour in history. But there was another conversation happening. Prince. See, while Michael was breaking sales records, Prince was breaking musical boundaries. Purple Rain, Sign of the Times. Critics loved to pit them against each other.
Damn.
Michael was pop, Prince was art. Michael could dance, but Prince could play multiple instruments. Michael actually wanted to collab with Prince. He reached out for him to do a duet on Bad. But when Prince heard the song, he heard the first line, and he wasn't quite down for that.
The first line of that song is "Your butt is mine." Your butt is mine. Now I said, who gonna sing that to whom? Cause you sure ain't singing it to me. And I sure ain't singing it to you. So right there we got a problem.
So the rivalry, it wasn't real. Not really. They respected each other. But the media always needs a story. And unfortunately, Michael became a prime target for that. The media discovered they could sell more magazines by calling him Wacko Jacko than by celebrating his music. Every weird thing he did became a headline. He bought a chimp, front page news. He slept in a hyperbaric chamber? He didn't, but who cares about the truth? Headlines for weeks. And then,
bro, that would be crazy, bro, if you if you get so baked and you don't remember what you did yesterday, but tabloids are are telling a whole different another lie. You were like, oh yeah, I caught Michael Jackson in fucking Japan. And he's like, he wakes up like, was that in Japan yesterday, bro? Like, motherfuckers just straight up lying on him, and he's like, bro, did I do that? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
Michael had developed vitiligo, a disease that destroys skin pigmentation. It was something that defined him in both positive and negative ways. But instead of compassion, he got mockery. By the time the Dangerous album came out, Michael was pushing boundaries again. New Jack Swing with Teddy Riley, Industrial Sounds, Black or White became the most watched television event of 1991. But the Wacko Jacko stories, they just kept coming. He was buying an Elephant Man's bones. He was sleeping in an oxygen tank. The stories got more and more ridiculous, but some people started to believe him. I mean, at the very least, it started to shape his image. The irony is, while some people were calling him a freak, he was still revolutionizing music. The choreography he created during this era, I mean, it's still copied today. Watch any K-pop group. That's Michael. But see, Michael, he made one critical mistake. See, Michael was nice and trusting, but a little too trusting. See, Michael had his own theme park, and he would let kids and their families come stay with him. You know, everything was cool. He never had a childhood, so he wanted to do that. But in 1993, everything came crashing down. In August of 1993, Michael Jackson was accused of, let's just say, doing not so nice things to children. Now, this has been a sore subject around Michael Jackson for a long time, but we gotta talk about what it did to him. Because whether you believe he was innocent or guilty, what happened next was basically a public execution. The accusation came during the Dangerous tour. Michael was performing at sold-out stadiums when police raided his home. Media coverage was relentless. I mean, it was so bad he had to cancel the tour. He became dependent on painkillers just to function. The case was eventually settled outside of court, but I mean, the damage was permanent. Next thing you know, the History album drops. It was half greatest hits and half new material. And the new songs, they were angrier, more defiant. They Don't Care About Us, Scream, Stranger in Moscow. This wasn't the same Michael who sang The Way You Make Me Feel. This was somebody who was
Bro, it looks like he trans, bro. Michael trans in the middle
of course, it's Michael, so the album and the tour was still successful. But you could tell there was something broken that just couldn't really be fixed. The allegations came back in 2003. Then came the trial. He was acquitted on all charges, but acquittal doesn't necessarily mean vindication in the public eye. By this point, Michael proved himself to be one of the greats, but he is still not topped the success of Thriller, and his career was starting to go on the decline. So he wanted to try to top himself one more time, but he had another demon to battle with, Sony Music Entertainment. In 2001, Michael dropped Invincible, his last studio album. Sony barely promoted it. They were in a war with Michael over masters and money, but it still debuted at #1 and still went double platinum. It was a failure for Michael Jackson, but it was still a success that most artists would kill for. The machine was breaking down, and the debts were mounting up. It wasn't because he wasn't making money. I mean, Michael had lots of assets, but the lawsuits never stopped coming and everything just seemed like it was closing in on him. So Michael wanted one last hurrah. In 2009, he announced the This Is It tour. 50 concerts at London's O2 Arena, sold out in hours. He was 50 years old, rehearsing like he was 25. The footage from the rehearsals, I mean, he was still magical. Still had that thing that made him different from everyone else. But he was also fragile. He couldn't sleep without meds, and he barely weighed 130 pounds. And on June 25th, 2009, the King of Pop was pronounced dead at UCLA Medical Center.
According to the Los Angeles Times, pop star Michael Jackson died this afternoon.
Both the Los Angeles Times and CBS News are both now reporting that Michael Jackson has died.
His death was devastating, and according to some, it's still a mystery. But on the bright side, his legacy is still felt, not just by music people, but all of us. So how good was Michael Jackson actually? I mean, the numbers are untouchable. Over 1 billion records sold, 13 Grammy wins, 39 Guinness World Records. Thriller alone has sold more than most artists' entire careers combined. But numbers, they don't quite capture it. Not really. Watch Beyonce perform. That's Michael. Watch Bruno Mars, Michael, The Weeknd, Justin Timberlake, Usher, Chris Brown, all of them. I mean, they're all trying to copy what he had. Even the K-pop groups, BTS, they're walking through doors that Michael opened. He changed what it meant to be a pop star. Before Michael, pop stars, they sang songs, but after, I mean, they created whole worlds around their albums in different eras. Music videos weren't just promotional tools, they became art. He changed the game for concerts. I mean, he even changed the whole landscape of MTV. A black kid from Gary, Indiana became the biggest star on the planet. He made music that transcended language, race, culture, everything. Was he perfect?
He was the first artist.
I mean, he didn't play instruments as good as Prince, and on his live shows, his voice got strained, and he didn't sound as good as the record. Michael's impact was way bigger than music. Michael Jackson had his childhood stolen, had his appearance mocked, his reputation destroyed.
Yeah, damn, what happened to his nose?
He never got that comeback. Never got that final victory lap where the world just celebrated him. But maybe that's what makes his greatness even more remarkable. He never stopped trying to give everything he had to heal the world through his music.
At your concerts, there are hundreds of people in the audience yelling, "Michael, Michael!" What do you feel like?
When they're all holding hands and everybody's rocking and all colors of people are there, all races, and it's the most wonderful thing.
Now, Michael was so good that 15 years later after his death, pop stars are still chasing what he achieved. I have a video about how every modern artist,
W video, yes sir. W video, Mr. J Diggs. Yo, listen. That boy Michael had the world on the fingertips. I think genuinely, he's probably the GOAT of all time. He will be the GOAT of all time for a very, very long time. So, I can't say all the conspiracies behind him, all the crazy wild shit behind him. But look, all you can say is, you gotta separate the art from the artist. Excuse me, burps are really burping today. Drinking orange juice, Ahem. My allergies are fucking me up, bro. I'm telling you, I don't know what the fuck's going on with this bullshit. But I think it has something to do with me fucking gardening earlier. And it has fucked up my allergies. And I'm going to be pissed off for the next couple of minutes. Because my nose is fucking stuffed up. And it pisses me off when I really cannot breathe properly. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Alright, let's see. What else we got? Why are you always tired by, Johnny Harris always has the documentaries that are more really, of us are quietly that I'm really always impressed by. Johnny Harris, why are you tired?
Asking the internet, why am I so tired? Searching for answers to something we all feel but don't really understand.
Me every
morning
day,
we're waking up feeling a little bit more worn out than we were the day before. Our afternoon slumps are a little slumpy.
No matter how much I'm fucking sleeping, I can never catch up on my sleep, and it pisses me the fuck off.
Show that companies make fun of us for this. It's a 3 p.m. slump. Selling us meat or cheese or coffee or human-grade jet fuel to somehow cure our afternoon energy deficit. Now listen, this isn't a video where I'm going to tell you to just...
See, that's the thing, bro. If you got like 700 things happening to you, like maybe the way is not making, remedies for it, but rather like fixing it. Like, if you keep seeing people, drinking, a certain drink and it gives you heart attacks, you would stop drinking that drink and ban that fucking drink, right? And if you're noticing the 8-hour work week or 8-hour work day is not sufficient, like by 3 p.m. most people are dead tired. By noon, everybody's like cannot focus. Maybe we need to update the work period, bro. Maybe you do like a half day of work and then half at night, or you kind of work around like a dynamic schedule rather than, you need to clock in from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then you do this, that. Like, I don't know, bro. I feel like there's something wrong with the schooling system and the work life balance, bro. Somehow all the jobs work perfectly fine when we were working from home, when everybody nowadays, or even back in the day, were like, oh yeah, you can never do half of this shit from home. But somehow during COVID, we figured it out.
Sleep or to stop looking at your phone before bed, which all of those things you should do. But I want to approach this question a little differently. I want to look at the bigger reasons why we're all so tired. A lot of those reasons have to do with what's happening right now during the day. Like right now while I'm filming this, things are happening in my brain and your brain that will make us more tired later on today and tomorrow. It'll affect how long and how well you sleep and whether or not you feel refreshed in the morning.
That's like stress,
In order to understand why you're so tired, I'm going to take you back in time to 300,000 years ago.
Damn.
Meet Johnny Caveman. Johnny Caveman kind of has a similar body to ours today. He's a human. His body's a little different. His hips and his head are shaped a little differently. It's got this wider, flatter nose. He's got this big, strong brow. But up where it counts, his brain is very similar to our brain today. And yet how he uses his brain is very different. Similar brains, totally different worlds. To show this, let me show you Johnny Caveman's morning routine. As Johnny Caveman begins his day, let's keep an eye on this part of his brain. This is the prefrontal cortex. When you make decisions, this part of your brain is doing most of the work. This morning, Johnny Caveman has a few decisions to make. He has to decide where to get his water today. Should he go out and hunt with his group, or should he spend time picking berries? He just found some mushrooms. Are these mushrooms safe? Should he eat them? Johnny Caveman will likely spend a big chunk of his day just sitting here around this campsite, eating and chatting with his band of other humans. He might go out and gather sticks to build a campfire later. I mean, look at his brain. There's some decisions being made here, but it isn't pinging very much. There's not a ton of action up here in the prefrontal cortex. His day is routine with not a ton of choices. Fairly simple decisions. Okay, but let's transport forward in time now. I wonder what would happen if we put this same Johnny Caveman in the 20th century. Same brain, same body, different world. Yawn. The sun is still waking Johnny Caveman up, and now he's got a few decisions to make. He decides to shave before he goes to work. What's for breakfast? Apples again? I think I'll have a peach. Now off to work. The world's gone through the Industrial Revolution, so he spends his day at a factory, where he's repeating tasks over and over. He's definitely making more decisions than Johnny Caveman was, but the prefrontal cortex isn't pinging a ton. There's not a lot of action up here. Okay, how does Johnny Caveman do in 2024? Did I get enough sleep last night? Where's my phone? Is my kid's concert today or tomorrow? Ugh, I need new socks. These don't match. What should I eat for lunch later? Should I cancel with my coworker? Did I have a burrito yesterday? I need to remember to send the receipts to the insurance company. I need to file that expense.
Bro, I feel like people have to do so much more to keep themselves entertained. Back in the day, bro, you could just do whatever and just chill. Nowadays, your parents want you to do this, they want you to do that, they want you to, join extracurriculars. If you're not doing 700 things, you're not really getting far in life, you know?
How much gas is in the car? Oil change this week. Why is the ice cream so slow again? Should I be upgrading to a different cafe? It's 8:30 in the morning, and I've already made a ton of decisions, way more than Johnny Caveman, or the Johnny from the 20th century. These decisions are complex, they are abstract, they are high stakes. My prefrontal cortex is going bananas. One estimate I read said that modern humans make 35,000 decisions every day. We make more than 200 decisions about food alone. Okay, I get it.
Damn.
Modern life is full of a lot of decisions, but I'm not running from tigers anymore. I don't have to scavenge and hunt for my food. Shouldn't I be less tired? I'm using my brain instead of my body. And I'm doing way less physical work. I mean, we've got washing machines and dishwashers and automatic head massagers and at-home spas. And damn it, we even have lazy boys. Shouldn't I feel more rested because of all of this?
Damn it.
Okay, and here's where we come to the answer to the
bro.
question, which is we gotta look at that prefrontal cortex again and see what's actually going on when you make all of these decisions. It's a part of a war that is happening between you and the modern world. This war is being fought on two different battlefields, daytime and nighttime.
Dayman, fighter of the night. Bro, I feel like I'm so awake at night, bro. Half the time, I don't even think
So we're in this daytime battlefield, and you're making a bunch of decisions. We've talked about that. Let's see what's happening here in the brain. When you're making decisions, there's an electronic signal, like a pulse, that is traveling between regions of the brain along these wires called neurons. You've got almost 100 billion of these things, and they all are forming this giant network, tons of connections. And they all send signals to each other. That is what decisions and actions are. But in order to send these signals between the different parts of the brain, you need a very important chemical called glutamate. Glutamate makes all of this happen. It's a neurotransmitter. It helps everything talk to each other. But look, after you make the decision, the glutamate kind of sticks around. And as you make more and more decisions, glutamate starts to build up and starts to clog the system. Which new research suggests makes decisions harder because the whole system is clogged, which makes you feel fatigued. Make a bunch of decisions, you feel tired, even if you didn't lift a finger. It's like as if your brain were a big city. All of these roads are the neurons and synapses that you use to make decisions.
So I have a traffic jam up here. What do I gotta do? Smoke crack?
It's all functioning nicely, everyone can flow, but the more decisions you make, the more trash you produce. And the trash starts to pile up. Trash collectors will eventually move this trash out, but if you're producing a ton of trash, it starts to pile up, and it eventually starts to block the streets, making it much harder for the cars to move along, meaning for your brain.
What do we do about this, Johnny Harris?
For you to make
Please tell me.
This is what it looks like when you're really tired. It's 11:30 a.m. here at my desk, and I've made so many decisions. I haven't done any strenuous work, but I'm drowning in glutamate and feeling tired. By the way, this is brand new research from the Paris Brain Institute, and it is still being worked out how this works or exactly what it looks like. You can check my sources to fact check everything I say in this video, but look at this paper specifically.
I will trust you blindly, brother.
Specifically, it's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna jot this down on my list of why we're so tired. I'll be making this list and the solutions on what we can do about it. A lot of cultures have a solve for this. It's called biphasic sleep, which is just a cool sounding name for a nap in the afternoon. People usually around the Mediterranean take naps from the hours of 2 to 5. They rest.
Yes, I do realize this in third world countries. This does happen. Pakistan, bro, motherfuckers do this all the time, bro. They go home from work and then take a nap and then go back to work. Honestly, it is, slows down the country progress by a lot, but it is kind of nice.
Research found that people who take siestas have increased brain functioning and are 37% less likely to die of heart disease. But here in the United States, we pledge to not sleep on the job. We will never take naps like those failing socialist countries in the Mediterranean. No. The hustle never stops here in America. Sorry, I recently watched Top Gun. I'm just feeling really patriotic right now.
That's right. I am dangerous.
So our brains, which are the same as Johnny Caveman's brains, aren't totally set up to make all of these decisions without feeling very tired. I mean, it kind of makes sense. We've got these caveman brains living in 2024. This is called evolutionary mismatch. Our brains haven't caught up with our lifestyle, with our world, and all of the decisions that we are required to make to just be normal modern humans. So what do we do about this? Well, you can take siestas, which is like not something I can do in my life. I'm just not set up for it here, sorry guys. But that would be a way to clear out some glutamate and reset. But the biggest takeaway for me is just limit how many decisions I have to make every day, which is not easy, but there definitely are ways to do it. I've started choosing the outfits that I'm gonna wear for the week on Sunday, so that in the morning when I wake up, I'm just like, oh, the outfit's already chosen. Or you could go full Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg style and just wear one thing so that you can have a closet.
Yeah, that's like too much, bro. If you're, if you just don't have drip at all, bro, that's too much. You can't give up drip. You can't give up drip,
like
bro.
This, which... Meal planning. That's another one. On a Sunday, we've started like writing down every meal we're gonna have during the week. And that makes life way easier when you're at the end of a day of work and you are feeling tired. A big theme in today's video is information. How much information our brains are met with these days. And even as a journalist, it's my job, and I get stressed out by the amount of information out there. One of the tools we use to sift through all of this is actually the sponsor to TheMr.MuncherShow News, the Vantage Plan, why we are so tired. There's one more chemical we have to talk about for this daytime battle, and it's called adenosine.
That ass.
It is this very clever evolutionary feature of our brain that's basically like a signal to our brains that tells us when it's time to rest. As you go throughout your day, thinking and doing things, this adenosine builds up. And it kind of signals to your brain that you're tired. It signals that you should feel sleepy and hopefully makes you go to sleep. But being industrious humans focused on progress, we found a substance that will block the buildup of adenosine. It's called caffeine, making caffeine the most popular drug in the world. It blocks adenosine, this natural signal of you should be tired and sleep, and allows us to keep operating as if the adenosine doesn't exist. But guess what? The caffeine doesn't last forever. It eventually wears out. And all of this adenosine that had built up comes flooding into your brain like a megaphone saying, hey, you're really tired and we're finally able to tell you. This is called the afternoon crash.
I can only imagine how bad it is after like a drink, like a energy drink rather than coffee. You drink an energy drink, bro, this shit might be like fucking overloading your system.
It's like the greatest thing in the world, and it's called a coffee nap. When you nap, your body gets rid of the adenosine. It's like the adenosine clearing hour. And if you drink caffeine, then you get this like multiplier effect where all the adenosine is gone and the caffeine just comes in. It doesn't have to block any adenosine, and it's just ready to like hype you up. Drink a quick coffee, lay down for just 15 minutes. It's amazing. Coffee naps. Add it to the list. The other option is to drink your coffee a little bit like later than you would. Like don't drink it right as you wake up. Drink it between the hours of 9 and 11 a.m. so that it lasts until you're done with work and then you can
What if you get up at 9?
Okay, so that is our daytime battle. Glutamate builds up because we make so many decisions.
They say not to drink it for like at least 90 minutes after you wake up, so it kind of lets your system regulate.
It builds up because we don't let it clear out and we block the signals because of caffeine. And our modern world doesn't like us naturally clearing these things out, so we feel really tired. Now let's get to the nighttime battle.
His audio seemed nasally too. I'm fucking nasally, but his audio seemed very nasally.
Everyone says we should get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but when you go to bed and when I go to bed is probably different. Back in the Johnny Caveman days,
I need at least 10
of humans.
I need at least 10 hours, but I can't get 10 hours. On a good weekend day, bro, if I get 10 hours, I'm so happy, bro.
Couldn't leave their camp unattended at night. So we evolved to have different sleep times so that some of us could stay awake and guard the camp and others could sleep. And then we could switch off. Today, what that looks like is that I go to bed at 10:30 and I wake up at 6:30. You may be a night owl and you want to go to bed at 1 in the morning, or you may want to go to bed at 9 a.m. These are called chronotypes, and there are roughly 4 of them. Everyone has a slightly different interpretation of what it means, but the fact is, we're not all the same when it comes to when we go to bed. And yet, we all live in a society that
we have to work.
That wants us to be the same. Our standard workday, 9 to 5, was constructed for like the average person, but you may not be that person. You have a job that requires you to be there at 9 a.m. and you're a night owl who wants to sleep until 10:30? Too bad. Capitalism says no. Researchers say that our chronotype is in our genes. Like this is like we are naturally coded to have an optimal time when we are sleeping. And that may not work with your life. Evolutionary mismatch once again. So I'm gonna write chronotypes down on my list. What's the solution here?
That's why I need to become a comedian, bro, so I can fit my chronotype, bro. I would rather be up till like 4 a.m. than get up at 9 a.m. and like, bro, I don't know. I could sleep from 4 a.m. to like 11, which is like 6 hours, I would say. rather than, you know, go to bed from 9 to like 8 and it's more sleep but still have to wake up a couple hours early, I just don't feel the same.
Your chronotype is, you probably already know what it is. Take this test online. I'll give you a QR code here. You can scan this, take a test. Maybe aligning your lifestyle with your chronotype could help you get sleep during the time when your sleep is most optimal, which will help make you feel less tired. Okay, finally, in a video that you clicked on about why you're so tired, finally we're talking about sleep. Sleep definitely matters. And I think there's actually a lot of great videos and literature, books, whatever, on sleep and how to optimize sleep.
Well, number one thing is, bro, stay away from blue screens. Don't have your TV on when you're sleeping. Like obviously you can avoid those things, but bro, I feel like the way you work, the way, you know, the job market is, you have to kind of, you know, align with the job market, unfortunately.
Log all these memories, all the sensory input and memories from the day get cataloged. Our muscles and our circulatory system, they all get to relax and take a break, which is super vital. And as we talked about earlier, we clear out a lot of like the byproducts from living life, the glutamate, the adenosine, all of the kind of toxins and byproducts that we accumulate from a day. This is all super important.
That's why when you're like fucking sleep deprived, bro, you get delusional.
Sleep is created equal, and what we do in the hours leading up to bed can make a big difference. So let's see what this looks like using an example. As we're following along, let's track my chemical levels. I get home around 8 p.m. I whip up some of my famous macaroni and cheese before sitting down to my desk because I've got a little more work to do. Now, my chronotype is the lion, which means I kind of want to go to bed like at 10. I'm getting kind of tired. So I pour myself a cup of coffee to fight off all the adenosine that has been building up in my brain. Okay, I finish up my work. It's 2 hours past when I normally go to bed, but I need some time to wind down. Here I am making more decisions.
Bro, if you fucking drank caffeine that late, there's no way you're going to bed, bro. I could not sleep. If I drank caffeine after like 6 p.m., there's no way I'm going to bed.
It's on Netflix. And look, even though it's nighttime outside, this giant TV screen is emitting light. My brain thinks this is the sun. It thinks it's daytime. So it blocks the release of melatonin. Melatonin is a chemical that we need to shift our brain from wakefulness to sleep. Finally, after some Netflix, I feel like I've wound down and I'm gonna go to bed. It's 2 a.m. I turn off the TV and I get a little bit of melatonin, but not nearly enough to feel tired. I've got a ton of adenosine in my brain, but it's not registering. I should be feeling tired, but all of this adenosine is blocked by the caffeine I had earlier. One more look at my phone to set my alarm. Gotta check Instagram really quick. Eventually the caffeine wears off, the adenosine comes flooding in, and I fall right asleep. But it's now 3 a.m. My body goes through the important process of clearing out all these chemicals. It's a slow process. I need time to do this. My body's making great progress, and then it's been 5 hours, which is just not enough time for our bodies to take out all the trash. My brain still kind of looks like this.
That's me.
I'm gonna start my day with all of the residual glutamate chemicals swirling around in my brain as I start to make new decisions. And
yeah, within like 1
glutamate.
week of doing this, you want to fucking shoot up the fucking club, bro. You cannot keep doing this. That sleep deprivation will fuck you up, bro.
More adenosine that I'm gonna block with caffeine. So I guess I'm gonna add the obvious one to my list. Get enough sleep and wind down without caffeine or alcohol, the things that kind of kill your ability to get good sleep. Now let me just say, there's a lot more to say on sleep. It's very well documented. There's a lot of like pop science books about sleep. I didn't want to go into those now because I feel like they're easily accessible, but you should definitely check out my sources if you want to learn more about preparing for good sleep and having good sleep and why it matters. So this is my list. Here it is, why we're so tired and what we can do about it. It's not exhaustive, but it includes the lesser covered aspects of fatigue that I have found very compelling and that have affected how I approach my day-to-day life. In short, it's not just because we look at our phones before bed that we're so tired. There's a lot more going on. And a lot of it has to do with life, modern life, and these brains that we have that were evolved for a very different time. There's a lot of upside to the fact that we don't live in caves next to campfires hunting for
It
our
would be
food.
kind of cool.
But
to live
one
in
of the
a cave,
downsides is that
you know?
we feel this very
Obviously a lot of
specific
bugs, but it'd be
kind
kind of cool.
fatigue. It's often mental fatigue. And now I understand why. I'm not going to dramatically change my life because of these findings, but I now at least have a list of a few things that I can tweak to maybe feel a little less tired. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a question for anyone still watching.
Video.
Would you be interested in buying some of my old maps?
Maybe, possibly. W video, brother. W video, Johnny Harris. Look, I hope y'all get some good sleep in, you know? I hope some of y'all get some good rest. Maybe get a good vibe of you know, what true sleep feels like. Because for me personally, I've recently been focusing on going to bed a little bit earlier than normal. Damn, this washing machine fucking loud as hell. I've been putting in the effort to, like, you know, wake up a little bit earlier. Oh, I got 20 minutes on that hose still? Bro, it's still gonna be washing for 20 more minutes, chat? Yo, that's actually crazy. So that means I have to stay up another 20 minutes waiting for that? That's crazy work. That's crazy work. I put it on heavy duty, that's the thing. I should have just put it on regular and I would have been fine, but I put it on heavy duty. But I've been watching so much of the old shit, you know, the 1980s type shit. We might as well get in, you know, another video. How weed changed modern music by Asa Park. He got 89K.
Lands in Tokyo. In the
89K subscribers. Go hit him a fucking subby.
Paul McCartney was arrested at Heathrow Airport this afternoon and charged with possessing cannabis.
And McCartney spends 9 days in a Japanese jail cell, wondering if his career is over.
Do you think this experience will affect in your music life?
I'm not sure. You never know.
Fast forward to today.
No baggage on board in the plane. Leaving everything bad in the review and taking whatever remains.
Bro, even Snoop Dogg had to stop smoking loud, bro. What do y'all think happened there? I think a doctor had to tell him, bro. Something, bro. How you gonna have Snoop Dogg stop smoking weed, bro?
Opens his own cannabis shop. Rihanna posts videos of herself rolling joints. Justin Bieber smoking a bong on Instagram. Something fundamental changed, and it wasn't just a loss. Since McCartney's 1980 arrest, over 20 countries have decriminalized cannabis, and 8 more have legalized recreational use by this year. Global weed consumption doubled, with US sales alone hitting $30 billion last year.
Billy?
This increase in weed consumption has rewired how music sounds, how it gets made, how we listen to it. We've swapped urgent protest songs for chill background music. We turned rebellion into a brand. But here's the question that nobody wants to ask. Did this actually make music better, or did it just make everything hazy? Let me tell you a story.
Something you can say about it. Have some comment from you, Mr. Boy?
In 1976, David Bowie and Iggy Pop get busted in upstate New York with a few grams of weed.
Mr. Bowie maintains his innocence. Never
Bro, back in the day, weed wasn't even that strong. Nowadays, bro, they got 90% THC and everything, bro.
Headlines scream scandal. Careers teeter on the edge. Because in the 70s, smoking weed wasn't just a vibe. Getting caught with it could end your career, land you in prison, or get you banned from countries.
We'd been told, don't take it into Japan. Very severe penalties. And I could see the guy opening my suitcase, and right on the top is this big bag of grass. I didn't even put it in a sweater or hide it.
Musicians not only couldn't carry weed with themselves, but also couldn't really sing about it. So they had to be clever. But then came Bob Marley.
The whole world confused you and you're worried and you don't have no time to think. Herb is a thing that give you a little time for yourself so you can live. If they use it.
Marley didn't hide it. He didn't code it. He made cannabis a central part of his spiritual and political message. For Marley, weed wasn't just recreation. It was revelation. And that scared establishment even more. When Marley toured, his shows got cancelled. His music got banned. Radio stations refused to play his songs because weed wasn't just illegal. It was tied to the broader movement that challenged authority.
We just see them just say, no, you must use it because it make you rebel. Against what?
America's public enemy #1 is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
In 1971, U.S. President Richard Nixon's war on drugs made weed public enemy #1.
That's so crazy, bro. They made something so simple.
I do not want to go to jail for something that I can consider harmless to both society and myself.
And this
no, because it's unleashing you for the mental change, Jennifer. That's what it's doing. It's getting you out of the mental change.
Over 400,000 arrests a year by 1980.
And it is kind of depressing to know that I should be given 50 years for allegedly selling some little marijuana.
The government saw cannabis as defiance, tied to anti-war protests and counterculture. When influential artists like Marley smoked openly, they weren't just breaking laws, they were defying the system, and the feds hated it.
Roll me up and smoke me when I die.
Because back then, when an artist referenced cannabis, it was an act of rebellion. Dangerous, subversive, and powerful.
Nowadays, everybody falls in line, bro. That's the thing. That's why I think everybody hates the Riyadh Music Festival. Because, bro, the comedians, the musicians, they're supposed to be fighting, man. Fighting with the man. Now they're like bending down, getting to that long 6-figure cock.
don't stay underground forever. Eventually, someone figures out the way to package rebellion and sell it back to the masses. And when the line between art and product blurs, context becomes everything. Take Thailand in 2022. It became the first country in Asia to decriminalize cannabis. But just 3 years later, they reversed that decision. Recreational weed is banned again. Why? Some say it was because of a spike in youth usage. Others blame a booming black market. So the same law, but two very different stories. So who is actually telling the truth? This is exactly what Ground News was built. Mainstream radio. Suburban white kids are now tuning into Yo MTV Raps.
Yo, dude, yo.
In 1992.
And nigga, your album is gonna be the shit on the streets. That's what you need to name your album, cuz The Chronic.
Suddenly, weed isn't just about spiritual awakening or political resistance. It's about attitude. It's about style. It's about being cool. The album goes multi-platinum. Hip-hop explodes into the ethos, and cannabis culture rides that wave. While rock stars still had to code their references or faced career scandals, rappers made weed central to their identity and their art. By the 1990s, you got Snoop Dogg on TV openly talking about smoking.
And there's something about that cannabis that brings the best out of whoever you are if you tap into your spirit or why it's here.
Jay-Z frames dealing weed as entrepreneurial success. Wiz Khalifa has built an entire brand around weed obsession. Marijuana becomes synonymous with the image. Then comes Afroman with Because I Got High in 2001.
I was gonna go to work, but then I got high.
The song is basically a comedy routine set to music. Weed isn't dangerous anymore. It's funny. It's relatable, and it's safe enough for mainstream radio. The 2010s bring mass legalization. State by state, country by country, cannabis laws change.
I couldn't fit this award in my bag.
Not in.
I did find this, so thank you guys very much.
As the laws changed, so did the music industry's comfort level. But something else was happening too. Weed didn't just change what musicians sang about. It literally changed what popular music sounds like. Just think
That's
about the biggest
R&B.
hits of the early 2000s. Beyonce's Crazy in Love. Hey Ya by Outkast. Or Lady Gaga's Just Dance. They're kind of similar in that they're all 120 to 130 beats per minute. They're designed to make you move, to get your heart rate up, to demand your attention. Now think about what music dominated the 2010s. Billie Eilish's When the Party's Over. 72 BPM. Lord's Royals. Around 85 BPM. Even The Weeknd's biggest hits hover around 90 BPM. Music got slower, a lot slower. And it's not just the tempo either. Everything got hazier, more atmospheric. Production started favoring reverb over punch, texture over clarity, mood over melody. I think Kid Cudi pioneered the sound with Day and Night. A song that feels like it's floating in space. Tame Impala took psychedelic rock and made it dreamy instead of explosive. The Weeknd turned R&B into something you experience rather than just listen to. Lo-fi hip-hop and vaporwave become genres unto themselves.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube streams
That's
of cracking
YouTube.
beats and anime girls studying became cultural phenomena. Music that was specifically designed not to demand attention started getting millions of plays. Now here's where we need to have an uncomfortable
119
conversation.
million.
Weed was supposed to unlock creativity, break down barriers, help artists think outside the box and make groundbreaking music. And sometimes it did. Tame Impala's Kevin Parker used psychedelics and cannabis to create genuinely innovative sounds. Mac DeMarco used weed to find his laid-back persona and turn it into authentic art.
I love to play my instruments because it makes me happy.
Kid Cudi opened up about mental health in ways that felt revolutionary. But look closer, and a different pattern emerges. How many stoner classics actually follow the same template? Slow tempo, dreamy production, repetitive hooks, hazy vocals. The sound that was supposed to represent infinite creative possibilities started feeling boring. Look at what happened to lo-fi hip-hop. What started as intimate creative bedroom recordings became an endless stream of nearly identical chill beats to study to. Because when Spotify playlists need 10 hours of content, originality becomes secondary to fit in the vibe.
Interesting. But don't you think that's the algorithm rather than the exotic?
And here's the thing about being high. It makes everything feel profound, even when it isn't. And that might be great for the listener's experience, but it might not be great for pushing creative boundaries. Do this experience with me. Think deeply about it. When did we stop making urgent music, angry music, music that challenged us instead of just setting a mood? Compare the emotional range of popular music from the 1970s to today. Back then, you had everything from Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. to Led Zeppelin's Kashmir. And even had the Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen. These were protest songs, epic journeys, intimate confessions, all existing side by side. In my opinion, today's pop music occupies a much narrower emotional spectrum. Everything needs to be chill. Everything needs to be a vibe.
Hey, this is a vibe, bro. What you mean? You know? We're talking about a vibe right now. A late night vibe. We chilling.
We heard a genuinely confrontational song on mainstream radio. Maybe the real creativity paradox is this. We'd promised to expand our consciousness, but it might have actually narrowed our musical tastes. And that begs the question, was this all by accident? Or was it a carefully created marketing campaign?
Legal marijuana is projected to be a $7 billion industry.
The music industry didn't just accept cannabis culture. It built an entire business model around it.
Rapper and actor Ice-T is getting into the cannabis business. Ice-T will be opening a recreational cannabis dispensary in New Jersey with a business partner.
Artists stopped just referencing weed and started selling it.
You got rappers who was rapping about the weed, now they become a CEO. It's becoming a business for them because they stood on it so long to where people relied on them. So when it became legal, their face and their brand was one of the brands and one of the faces that could actually take this business to another level.
Jay-Z's new cannabis brand, Monogram, it launches at noon today.
Jay-Z launched Monogram. Seth Rogen created Houseplant. Snoop Dogg, of course, has multiple cannabis companies. The rebellion became a revenue stream. Music festivals started featuring cannabis lounges and branded partnerships. Streaming platforms packaged stoner culture into algorithmic playlists. The platforms didn't just respond to demand, they created it. Record labels started funding weed-themed releases and marketing campaigns. Cannabis wasn't just tolerated, it was encouraged. And that dangerous edge that made it powerful in the 1970s was being sanded down and repackaged as entertainment. And the money was too good to resist. When rebellion becomes a product, is it still rebellion? The artists that made weed dangerous, who risked their careers to challenge authority, they weren't trying to build lifestyle brands, they were trying to change the world. Today, we have an entire industry built around selling the aesthetic of that rebellion without any of the actual risk or meaning. Cannabis culture went from question everything to buy everything, from spiritual awakening to consumer awakening, from challenging the system to becoming it.
Damn it. They got our ass. Fuck. Damn it. But look, bro, it is also at that time, bro, it was like 5% THC. Nowadays, bro, it's like 50 is the minimum, bro. Nowadays, you smoke one joint from cookies, you about to turn into a cookie, bro.
Really gain or lose from all of this?
As we legalize it throughout the country, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's awfully hard to have people all over the jails that are in jail right now for something that's legal.
Here we are in 2025. Weed is legal in many places. Artists can be completely open about their usage.
I need some more marijuana.
The stigma is gone, the dangers are minimal, and Mary Jane is fully integrated into modern music. So, mission accomplished, right? Maybe. But how do we go from sneaking around, getting high, and making influential music like this? To lighting it up in the open and making music like this. In my ears, at least, something feels different about music today compared to that era, when it was truly counterculture to light up. Of course, it's probably not just
now. Maybe it's gonna be counterculture to, you know, do semen retention and then, you know, not smoking at all. So you might becoming a square will be the stoner culture next. You know, being a fucking legit counterculture of,
like, I don't think it's that simplistic, but I think
that's got to be like 100, like 100 pop each of those. Like you eat one of those, you're goofed.
Play the role. Studies have found that THC levels in marijuana today are around 30% compared to 2% in the 1970s. That's significant. So the Beatles smoking a joint in the studio were experiencing a much more mellow high than artists are today. So naturally the music would follow. And I like today's music too, and I'm hesitant to say that this is a good thing or a bad thing, but along the way, we lost something. And it coincides with this trend surrounding weed culture. We traded the danger and meaning of the underground for the comfort and commerce of mainstream acceptance. We gained authenticity but lost edge. We got more open but less urgent. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's progress or just a different kind of problem. Maybe the real question isn't whether weed changed modern music. Maybe it's whether we still want music that challenges us. These are just thoughts that I've had lingering, and I want to get them out. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. Did cannabis culture help music evolve into something more authentic? Or did it just make...
Definitely think, bro, nowadays, bro, it's like you clogging the system with that much fucking gas, bro. Like smoking gas nowadays, bro. Even from a couple of years ago, smoking weed now compared to like 5 years ago is so different, bro. Nowadays you hit... Yo, I can't think for real. What's my name? You confused the next day, bro. Like, that's how exotic the shit is now, bro.
Everything sound the same. Because honestly, I'm still trying to figure that one out. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it,
Hey,
please subscribe.
W
to the channel.
video,
That would be very
W
helpful.
video, Essa Park, a 89.6K so far. W video. Look, bro, I think it just depends on how much you're really boofing. If you boofing every day, if you really just goofing and boofing every day, bro, you're gonna have definitely a problem thinking. You're gonna have some stunted growth for real. But look, to each their own, right? Like everybody got their own problems. We got Sunny D problems over here. But right now I'm gonna stay hydrated, you know, get you a good hydration drink, you know? Cause until next time, I hope you have a good night. Bye. All right, that was zesty.